The coal dust never settled in Copper Creek. It hung in the air like a funeral shroud, coating everything: the weathered storefronts, the miners' lungs, and the whispered gossip that passed between neighbors over wash lines. Anna Mae Carter swept the same dust from her doorstep for the third time that morning, her movements mechanical, her mind elsewhere, inside. She folded her late husband's shirts with trembling hands, each crease a memory she'd rather forget: the sour smell of whiskey, the sharp words, the bruises hidden beneath high collars. The funeral had been sparse. Few mourned a gambler who'd left more debts than memories worth keeping. Anna stood at the graveside in her only black dress, watching clods of earth fall onto pine boards, when Jebediah Crow cleared his throat behind her. The matter of Samuel's debts needs settling. She'd known this moment would come. In a town like Copper Creek, debts didn't die with the debtor. They passed like property, like shame, like the coal dust that never quite washed clean. "I have nothing left to give," Anna said quietly, not turning from the grave. "The house is mortgaged. His tools were sold last week." "There's always something." Jeb's voice carried the weight of a man who'd never been told no. "You'll come to the house tomorrow. We'll discuss terms." But the next morning brought no discussion, only judgment delivered in the Crow family parlor, where mounted elk heads stared down with glassy eyes and the air smelled of tobacco and old leather. Jeb sat behind his desk like a king holding court, his sons Billy and Jed flanking him like wolves. $40. Jeb announced, "That's what Samuel owed. With interest, you'll work it off." Anna lifted her chin. "I can take in washing, mending." "For $40. Billy laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "That's 2 years' work, at least." "Then I'll work 2 years." "No." Jeb's hand slammed the desk. "I have a better arrangement. There's a man up the mountain owns land I want. He won't sell, won't trade, but he needs a woman's hand about his place." His smile was thin as wire. "1 year's service to him clears your debt to me." The room spun. Anna gripped the back of the chair. "You're selling me." "Settling a debt," Jeb corrected. "Unless you'd prefer I take this to the sheriff. Debtor's prison isn't kind to women. I hear..." Sheriff Hayes owed Jeb too much to ever side with a widow. Anna knew it. Jeb knew it. The whole town knew how things worked in Copper Creek. "When?" Her voice came out steady, though her insides churned. "Now." They gave her no time to pack properly, no chance for goodbyes. Billy hauled her trunk while Jed brought the wagon around. As they rolled down Main Street, Anna kept her eyes forward, but she felt the stares from behind curtains, from doorways, from the clusters of miners' wives who'd find fresh gossip to chew over their washboards. The road up the mountain was more mud than road. October rain had turned it treacherous, and the horses struggled with every step. Anna sat rigid between Billy and Jed, her hands folded in her lap, her mother's wedding ring, the one thing of value she'd hidden from Samuel's creditors, cutting into her palm where she clenched it. "They say he killed a man," Billy offered conversationally, spitting tobacco juice over the side. "The mountain man. Say that's why he lives up there alone." "Heard he talks to wolves," Jed added. "Lets them sleep in his cabin like dogs." "Heard he don't talk at all," Billy continued. "Just grunts like an animal." Anna said nothing. What difference did it make what she'd heard? She was cargo now, being delivered like a sack of flour or a side of beef. The trees grew thicker as they climbed, pine and aspen crowding close. The air turned sharp and clean, free of coal dust but heavy with wood smoke and something wilder: pine sap, wet earth, the musk of animals. Once. Anna caught a flash of silver through the trees, and Billy's hand went to his rifle. "Just watching," Jed muttered. "They always watch." The wolves. Anna had heard the stories even down in town, how they moved like smoke through the forest, how they answered to one man alone. Samuel had called it nonsense, but Samuel had called many true things nonsense when they didn't suit him. The cabin appeared suddenly, as if it had grown from the mountain itself. Built of thick logs gone silver with age, it squatted on a ledge of rock with the forest pressed close on 3 sides and a sheer drop on the 4th. Smoke rose from the stone chimney, the only sign of life. Jeb was already there, his horse tethered to a post. He stood talking at a figure in the doorway. Anna's first thought was that they'd been wrong about the mountain man. He wasn't an animal. He was a wall solid, immovable, carved from the same granite as the peaks behind him, tall enough to duck through his own doorway, broad enough to fill it, dressed in buckskin and wool that had seen better decades. A full beard covered half his face, and what showed above it was all hard planes and weather-worn lines. His eyes, when they found hers, were the color of winter sky, pale, cold, distant. "This is the woman," Jeb was saying. "Good cook, keeps a clean house. She'll do." The man, Elias Hargrove, though Anna wouldn't learn his name for days, looked at her like she was a horse he was considering buying. His gaze traveled from her carefully pinned hair to her muddy boots, taking inventory. "Otom. 1 year," Jeb continued. "She works for you. My son's debt is cleared. Fair trade." Elias's eyes moved to Jeb. Something passed between them, some old tension Anna didn't understand. Then, slowly, Elias nodded. That was all. No words, no handshake, just that single nod that signed away a year of Anna's life. Billy and Jed unloaded her trunk, dropping it in the mud beside the door. Jeb mounted his horse, looking down at Anna with satisfaction. "You give him any trouble, it'll be worse when you come back," he warned. "Mountain justice is one thing, but you'll still answer to me." They left her there, standing in the mud with her trunk and her shattered dignity, watching their wagon disappear down the mountain road. The silence that followed was complete. No town sounds, no neighbors, no church bells, just the wind in the pines and, somewhere close, the soft woof of a horse. Elias had already gone back inside. Anna stood frozen, uncertain. Was she meant to follow, to wait? The rules of proper society had no meaning here, and she felt adrift without them. A wolf emerged from the tree line, silver-white, massive, with their eyes like old gold. Anna's breath caught. It studied her with an intelligence that raised the hair on her arms, then padded past her to the door, pushing it open with its broad head. From inside came a grunt that might have been acknowledgement, taking it as permission. What choice did she have? Anna grasped the rope handle of her trunk and dragged it toward the cabin. The door swung shut behind her with a sound like finality. Through the single window, she could see the last light dying behind the peaks, and with it, any hope of the life she'd known before. But perhaps, Anna thought as she stood in that strange threshold between her old world and this new one, some things needed to die before others could begin. The cabin was darker inside than Anna had expected. One room served all purposes: kitchen, living space, bedroom. A stone fireplace dominated one wall, its heat the only warmth in the sparse space. A rough-hewn table, 2 chairs, a narrow bed in the corner, shelves holding supplies, tools hung from pegs with military precision. Everything had its place, worn smooth by use and habit. The wolf ghost, she'd later learn, curled before the fire like a house dog, though nothing about the creature suggested domesticity. Elias moved to the stove, ladling something from a pot into a wooden bowl. He set it on the table with a spoon, then retreated to a chair by the fire, dismissing her without words. The stew was mostly water, a few chunks of meat she couldn't identify, some wild onions. Anna ate in silence, aware of his presence the way one might be aware of a storm building on the horizon. When she finished, she washed the bowl in a bucket by the door, found a place for it on the shelf, then stood uncertain in the middle of the room. "Your place," his voice, when it finally came, was rough from disuse. He pointed to a corner where a straw mattress lay rolled against the wall, a folded blanket on top, not the bed. Then she was grateful for that small mercy. Anna arranged her sleeping space while Elias banked the fire and disappeared outside. Through the walls, she heard him moving around the cabin, checking things, securing things. Ghost remained by the fire, watching her with those unsettling gold eyes. When Elias returned, he went straight to his bed without acknowledging her. Anna lay on her pallet, fully dressed beneath the scratchy blanket, staring at the log ceiling. Outside, the wind sang through the pines. Once, she heard wolves calling long, mournful notes that Ghost answered with a soft whine. She didn't sleep. How could she? Every sound might be danger, every shadow threat. Samuel had taught her that lesson well enough, though his dangers had come from bottles and cards, not mountains and wild things. When dawn finally grayed the window, Anna rose, folded her bedding, and set about making herself useful. The cabin was clean enough, but she could see the bachelor's neglect in the corners. No softness, no comfort, just survival. She found flour, salt pork, some dried beans, no eggs, no butter, no sugar. She made biscuits anyway, coaxing them from the temperamental stove, and had them waiting when Elias emerged from his corner. He stopped short, seeing her at the stove. For a moment, something flickered across his face, surprised suspicion before the stone mask settled back in place. He ate 4 biscuits without comment, then pulled on his coat and headed for the door. At the threshold, he paused. "Don't go past the tree line. Don't touch the traps. Don't run." Then he was gone, Ghost flowing out behind him like smoke. Anna was alone. She spent that first day learning the cabin's rhythms. Water came from a rain barrel outside. Firewood was stacked under an overhang. The root cellar held potatoes, turnips, carrots going soft. She found a slab of venison hanging in the smokehouse. Carved off enough for dinner. By afternoon, curiosity drew her to the window. The view stole her breath, mountains marching to the horizon, valleys filled with mist, eagles circling on thermals she couldn't see. So different from Copper Creek's smoke and squalor. For a moment, she forgot she was a prisoner here. The wolves brought her back. 3 of them emerged from the trees, circling the cabin with purposeful steps. Not hunting checking. On her, Anna pressed back from the window, heart hammering. But they only looked, then melted back into the forest. Elias returned at dusk, a rabbit dangling from his belt. He skinned it with practiced efficiency while Anna pretended not to watch. His hands were scarred knife marks, burns, other damage she couldn't identify. Working hands, violent hands, gentle hands too, when he checked Ghost for burrs, running fingers through the thick fur with surprising care. They ate rabbit stew in silence. Anna had found some wild herbs, improved the flavor. Elias ate 2 bowls instead of 1. Progress? Maybe. Days blurred into routine. Elias left at dawn, returned at dusk. Anna cooked, cleaned, mended what needed mending. She learned to read his moods in the set of his shoulders, the length of his stride. Some days he brought game, some days nothing. Some days Ghost stayed with her, a silver shadow watching from the corner. On the 5th morning, she woke to find a bowl of warm water beside her pallet. Such a small thing he'd had to heat it, carry it, set it down quiet enough not to wake her. Anna washed her face, her hands, feeling human for the first time since leaving town. When Elias returned that evening, she darned 3 pairs of his socks and patched the elbow of his spare shirt. He examined the work, running a thumb over the neat stitches, then nodded once. Approval. She thought, maybe. The first snow came early, October still clinging to the calendar. Anna woke to white silence, the world transformed. Elias was already gone, but he'd left the fire built up, coffee warming on the stove. She wrapped the blanket around her shoulders and ventured onto the small porch. Tracks crisscrossed the snow boot prints. Wolf tracks. The delicate marks of deer. The mountains looked closer, sharper, like she could reach out and cut herself on their edges. Beautiful and terrible at once, like everything here. "You're not running," she startled. Elias stood at the corner of the cabin, fresh kill over his shoulder, watching her. "Where would I go?" Anna pulled the blanket tighter. "In this." He studied her a moment longer, then moved past to hang the deer. She noticed he'd been limping slightly. When he came inside, she had hot water ready. Cloths laid out. He looked from them to her, wary. "Sit," she said, surprising herself with a firmness. "That leg needs tending." For a long moment, she thought he'd refuse. Then, slowly, he sat. Anna knelt, easing his boot off, rolling up the trouser leg, a gash along his calf, not deep but ugly. She cleaned it in silence, aware of the tension in his body, the way he held himself still as stone. When she tied off the bandage, his hand caught her wrist. Not hard, just catching. "Why?" One word, but she understood. Why help him? Why care? She met his eyes, winter sky. She'd thought before, but there was more there. Old hurt, older caution. "Because it needs doing," she said simply. He released her wrist. When she stood, he was still looking at her, something unreadable in his gaze. Then Ghost pushed through the door, shaking snow from his coat, and the moment broke. That night, Elias spoke 3 whole sentences, comments about the weather, the game trails. Nothing personal, but his voice was warming to her presence. She thought, like the cabin itself, still cold, still hard, but no longer entirely forbidding. The second week brought worse weather and a visitor. Anna heard the horses before she saw them, grabbed the rifle by the door on instinct. But Elias appeared from the trees, hand raised in a staying gesture. "Tom," he said, one word, but it held recognition, maybe even welcome. Old Tom the Trapper was stringy as jerky, bearded like a prophet, cheerful as Christmas morning. He swung down from his mule, grinning. "Eli, you dog, heard you got yourself a woman up here. Had to see for myself." His eyes found Anna in the doorway. "Ma'am, Tom Brennan, at your service." She nodded, unsure of protocol. Did mountain men shake hands with women, tip hats? Tom solved it by doing both, pumping her hand with enthusiasm. "Prettier than Eli deserves, that's certain. You must be the widow Carter. Whole town's talking." Anna's stomach clenched. What are they saying? Tom's cheer dimmed slightly. "Oh, you know how folks jaw. Don't pay it no mind. Eli here's a good man, whatever else they say." They shared a meal, Tom talking enough for all 3 of them. News from town, gossip from other trappers, tall tales that made even Elias's mouth twitch toward a smile. When he left, he pressed a small bag into Anna's hands. "Sugar," he winked. "Man can't court a woman proper without sugar for her coffee." After he'd gone, Elias stood staring at the closed door. "He means well," Anna offered. "He talks too much." But the next morning, there was sugar beside the coffee pot. Just a spoonful, but sweet all the same. The 3rd week, Anna found the wooden bird. It sat on the table when she woke, rough-carved but recognizable. A mountain bluebird with its wings half spread. She turned it in her hands, feeling the care in each knife stroke. "It's beautiful," she said when Elias returned. He grunted, but she caught the pleased look before he turned away. That night, he worked on another piece while she mended, the scrape of his knife rhythmic in the firelight. Ghost dozed between them, and Anna felt something she hadn't expected: peace. Fragile as first ice, but real. Of course, peace never lasted. Not in her experience. But for now, in this strange cabin with this stranger man and his wolf, she let herself rest in it. Tomorrow would bring what it brought. Tonight, she was warm, fed, and strangest of all safe. Outside, snow began to fall again, soft as whispers, covering their tracks and their troubles alike, at least for a while. The November storm caught Anna by surprise. One moment she was hanging wash on the line, the next, wind was tearing sheets from her hands like angry spirits. She fought to save what she could, fingers numb with cold, when Elias appeared beside her, pulling down the remaining clothes without a word. Inside, they stood dripping, the rescued laundry heaped between them. Anna's teeth chattered as she wrung out a shirt. Elias moved to the fire, then paused, looking back at her. "Change first. Clothes can wait." She did, grateful for the privacy as he turned his back, busying himself with the fire. When she emerged from behind the makeshift curtain she'd hung in the corner, he'd laid her wet things by the hearth and disappeared outside. Through the window, she watched him secure the shutters, check the animals. The storm bent trees double, but he moved through it like it was nothing more than a spring breeze. That night, with wind howling and snow piling against the walls, Anna noticed Elias favoring his shoulder. He'd been chopping wood when the storm hit, working fast to build their supply. Now he sat stiffly, trying to hide the pain. "Let me see," Anna said. "It's nothing." "Nothing doesn't make you hold your arm like that." They stared at each other across the firelit room. Ghost raised his head, watching. Finally. Elias shrugged and winced. "Stubborn man," Anna muttered, but she was already moving, gathering what she needed. He removed his shirt reluctantly, presenting his back. Anna's hands stilled. Scars crossed his skin like a map of violence, some old and silver, others newer, pink. But worst was the mass of damaged tissue across his shoulders, rippling down his spine, burn scars, old ones. "The shirt," he said gruffly, "got caught when I was reaching." She found the pulled muscle, worked it carefully, aware of the tension in him. Not pain, something else. When was the last time anyone had touched him with gentleness? "There was a fire," he said suddenly. "Back in Kansas, 7 years ago." Anna's hands kept moving, steady and sure. She didn't speak, didn't push. "Had a wife, daughter, small place, nothing fancy, but it was ours." His voice was flat, like he was reading from someone else's story. "I was away, bringing cattle to market. When I came back..." The muscle under her hand spasmed. She smoothed it, patient. Folks said it was raiders, maybe just someone with a grudge. Doesn't matter. I got there too late. Got these pulling down beams. Trying to... He stopped. Trying. Anna's throat burned. She thought of her own losses. Smaller, but still sharp. "I'm sorry. I don't want pity." "Not pity. Understanding." He turned then, caught her wrist again. This time his eyes held something raw, unguarded. "That's why I'm here. Why don't go to town. Don't want..." He released her. "Just so you know, what kind of man you're stuck with." "A man who tried," Anna said softly. "That's what kind..." Something shifted in his face. He reached for his shirt, pulled it on carefully. When he spoke again, his voice was different, lighter, somehow. "Your turn. How'd you end up married to a fool like Sam Carter?" Anna smiled bitterly. "The usual way. He was handsome, charming. My father owed money. Sam offered to clear the debt if..." She shrugged. "I was 17. What did I know?" "He hurt you." Not a question. Anna looked away. "He was better when he wasn't drinking. Worse when he was losing at cards." Both together. Then I learned to hide. Silence settled between them, but it wasn't uncomfortable. The storm raged outside, sealing them in their small world. Ghost padded over, rested his great head on Anna's knee. She stroked his ears, marveling at the trust. "He likes you," Elias observed. "Smart wolf." Was that a smile? Just a flicker, but Anna caught it before it vanished. The next morning brought clear skies and bitter cold. Elias left early but returned by noon, old Tom in tow. The trapper's face was grim beneath his usual cheer. "Got news from town," Tom announced, warming his hands by the fire. "That crow boy Billy's been flapping his gums, saying things." Elias's jaw tightened. "What things?" "That you're keeping the widow against her will, that she's being misused." Tom glanced apologetically at Anna. "Pardon the frank talk, ma'am, but you should know what's being said." Anna felt cold despite the fire. "But that's not why Woody—" "Because Jeb wants this land," Elias said flatly. "Always has. Figures if he can stir up enough trouble, get the sheriff involved." "Sheriff Hayes is already involved," Tom added. "Billy's got his ear, and his palm, too. I'd wager. They're talking about riding up here, checking on the widow's welfare." "Let them come," Elias growled. "Now, Eli, you can't just—" "I said let them come." He stood abruptly, looming in the small space. "This is my land. She's here legal, working off a debt. They want to make something of it. They can try." Tom left soon after, promising to keep his ears open. Anna watched Elias pace, tension radiating from him like heat. "Maybe I should write a letter," she suggested. "Tell them I'm fine, that—" "You think they care what's true?" He rounded on her, then caught himself, stepping back. "Sorry, not angry at you." I know. She did know. Strange how quickly she'd learned to read him. "But we should do something. Be prepared." He studied her, something like respect in his eyes. "What do you suggest?" They spent the afternoon walking the property, Elias showing her the natural defenses, the approaches, where a man might set up to watch. Anna surprised herself with practical suggestions if they came in force, if they tried to separate them, if Sheriff Hayes insisted on taking her back for questioning. "You've got a tactical mind," Elias noted as they stood on a ridge overlooking the main trail. "I learned to think 3 steps ahead. Helped with Samuel." He nodded slowly. "We'll need supplies, more ammunition, food that keeps—" He paused. "You could leave. Tom would take you over the pass, get you to the railroad." "No." The word came out sharper than she intended. Elias waited. "I mean—" Anna gathered her thoughts. "What would I go back to more debt, another marriage to pay it off? At least here I know where I stand." "Do you—" His eyes were intense, searching. "I'm starting to—" That night, Elias taught her to load and clean the rifle. His hands covered hers, guiding, patient when she fumbled. Ghost watched from his corner, alert to the change in routine. "Never shot a man," Anna said as she practiced sighting down the barrel. "Hopefully won't have to. Sometimes showing you're willing is enough." "And if it's not?" He was quiet for a long moment. "Then you do what needs doing, same as always." A week passed, then 2. Tom came by twice more, each time with worse news. The stories were growing, getting uglier. Someone had seen bruises on Anna in town, never mind, she hadn't been to town since arriving. Someone else swore they'd heard screaming from the mountain. Never mind, the nearest neighbor was 5 miles off. "Jeb's offering to take you back," Tom reported during his second visit. "Says it's his Christian duty, seeing as how he's the one who sent you here." Anna laughed, surprising all 3 of them. "His Christian duty? That's rich." "You want to go back?" Elias asked quietly. She met his eyes. "You want me to—" "That's not what I asked." "No, I don't want to go back." Something passed between them, witnessed by Tom's knowing smile and Ghost's tilted head. That night, after Tom left, Elias gave her something wrapped in oilcloth. "Case you need it," he said gruffly. Inside was a knife, the handle worn smooth by use. His knife, she realized, the one he carved with. "I can't." "You can. You will." He closed her fingers around it. Things are going to get worse before they get better. Want you able to protect yourself? Anna felt the weight of the blade, the weight of his trust. Teach me. So he did. How to hold it, how to move, where a person was vulnerable, where they were strong. Anna learned with the same practical determination she'd brought to everything else. When Elias's hand corrected her grip, when he stood behind her to guide her stance, she noticed things: his scent of wood smoke and pine, the careful way he touched her, how his breath caught when she got a move right. "You're a quick study," he said after she'd successfully defended herself from his mock attack. "Good teacher," she replied, breathless from exertion and something else. They stood close in the fading light, Ghost watching from the doorway. For a moment, Anna thought, but then Elias stepped back, walls sliding back up. "Best get dinner started," he muttered. But that night, he carved while she cooked, and when she brought him his plate, his fingers brushed hers. Deliberately. She thought hope was a dangerous thing on this mountain, but it was growing all the same, stubborn as the little herbs she'd planted in pots by the window. Outside, winter pressed closer, and with it, the feeling of storm clouds gathering, not snow this time, but something darker, made of human malice and greed. Anna touched the knife at her belt, felt the solid presence of the man across from her, the wild guardian at their feet. Let them come, she thought. We'll be ready. The December cold bit deep, but old Tom's news chilled Anna worse than any mountain wind. He'd arrived at dawn, his mule lathered despite the temperature, face grim beneath ice-crusted whiskers. "They're coming tomorrow," he said without preamble, accepting the hot coffee Anna pressed into his hands. "Billy Crow's been working the whole town into a lather, says he heard from a reliable source that you've been crying for help." Tom spat into the fire. "Course, his reliable source is his own imagination, but Sheriff Hayes is eating it up." Elias stood by the window, watching the tree line. "How many?" "The sheriff, both Crow boys, maybe 2 deputies. Jeb's staying in town keeping his hands clean. The snake." Tom turned to Anna. "They're saying if you don't come willingly, they'll arrest Eli for unlawful imprisonment." "But I'm here legally," Anna protested. "The debt?" "Since when has legal mattered to men like that?" Elias's voice was flat. "They want this land. This is just their excuse." Anna felt something harden inside her chest. She'd run from confrontation her whole life, kept her head down, tried to make herself small. Not anymore. "Then we make sure they don't get it," she said. Both men turned to look at her. "Tom, I need you to do something for me." "Name it, ma'am." "Go back to town. Find Mrs. Pemberton. She runs the boarding house. Tell her." Anna paused, thinking. "Tell her Anna Carter needs her to remember the truth. She'll understand." Tom frowned. "Begging pardon, but what truth?" "The bruises I came to town wearing 3 months before Samuel died. The split lip I had at Easter service. The time she helped me hide in her root cellar when Samuel came looking, drunk and raging." Anna's voice stayed steady, clinical. She saw it all, her and the pastor's wife, though she'll be harder to convince to speak up. Silence filled the cabin. Elias had turned from the window, his expression unreadable. "You want me to gather witnesses," Tom said slowly. "I want you to remind them what they already know, that any harm done to me didn't happen on this mountain." Anna met Elias's eyes. "And maybe mention that I've been writing letters, sealed ones, that if anything happens to me up here, those letters will find their way to the territorial marshal." Tom grinned suddenly. "Have you now?" "I have now." Anna moved to her trunk, pulled out paper and ink she'd found in Elias's supplies. "Give me an hour." While she wrote, Elias and Tom worked outside, checking approaches, setting up subtle markers that would tell them which way visitors came. Ghost paced between them, sensing the tension. When Tom left with Anna's letters, Elias came back inside, bringing cold and purpose with him. That was smart, he said. The witnesses. I learned from Samuel how to use shame as a weapon. Difference is, I'm using truth instead of lies. She sealed the last letter with candle wax. These are going to Judge Morrison in Denver. Insurance. You think ahead. I'm tired of reacting. Time to act instead. They spent the rest of the day preparing, not just weapons and defensive positions, but offensive strategies. Anna suggested they make the cabin look more lived in, more clearly a home where she worked by choice. Curtains, she said, pulling fabric from her trunk. A woman who's being held prisoner doesn't hang curtains. Elias helped her string rope across the windows as she worked, humming softly. He watched with an expression she couldn't quite read. What, she asked. Nothing, just, you're not what I expected. What did you expect? Someone broken, scared, weak. Anna's hand stilled on the fabric. I am scared, but broken things can be mended, and weak. She met his eyes. I was weak when I let fear rule me. Not anymore. That night, they ate in companionable silence. Ghost between them. When Elias started carving a wolf this time, running, Anna pulled out more paper. What now? He asked. Making a list. Everything valuable on this property that Jeb might want. The spring, the timber rights, the southern pasture that connects to the mining road. She looked up. Knowledge is ammunition too. He set down his knife. Anna. The way he said her name made her stop writing. Tomorrow might go bad. He continued. If it does. It won't. But if it does, there's a trail behind the smokehouse. Follow it up to the big pine with the lightning scar. Then cut east. Tom's cabin is 4 miles that way. He'll get you somewhere safe. I'm not running. Anna. No. She stood, moving to where he sat. I've done enough running. Spent my whole marriage running. Running from Samuel's fists, from his debts, from the truth of what my life had become. She knelt beside his chair, looking up at him. I'm done running, Elias. This is where I make my stand. His hand moved to her face, rough fingers gentle against her cheek. Stubborn woman. Stubborn man. For a moment, the space between them thrummed with possibility. Then Ghost whined, breaking the spell, and they pulled apart. Morning came too soon, bringing leaden skies and the promise of snow. Anna dressed carefully her best dress, hairpin neat, mother's cameo at her throat, armor of respectability. Elias wore his town clothes, looking uncomfortable but determined. Remember, he said as they waited, let me do the talking first, but if they try to separate us— I know what to say. Anna touched the letters in her pocket, the knife at her belt hidden by her shawl. We're ready. Ghost heard them first, a low growl building in his throat. Then the sound of horses, voices carrying on the cold air. Anna's heart hammered, but her hands stayed steady. Stay inside unless I call, Elias said, moving to the door. Elias, he turned. Whatever happens, I want you to know. I'm here by choice now, not because of any debt, because I choose to be. Something blazed in his eyes before he nodded once and stepped outside. Anna moved to the window, watching. Sheriff Hayes led the group, his badge glinting despite the gray day. Billy and Jed Crow flanked him, with 2 deputies she didn't recognize bringing up the rear. They stopped just outside what Elias had marked as the property line. Hargrove, the sheriff called. We're here on official business. State it then. Elias stood relaxed, but Anna could see the readiness in him. Had reports of a woman being held against her will. We're here to check on the widow Carter, make sure she's— well, Billy Crow snickered at that. Anna's temper flared. She opened the door, stepping onto the porch with deliberate calm. I'm quite well. Sheriff Hayes, as you can see. 5 sets of eyes fixed on her. She held herself straight, projecting every ounce of dignity she possessed. "Ma'am," the sheriff tipped his hat. "We've had concerning reports. I'll need to speak with you privately. Make sure—" "No." The word rang clear in the cold air. Anna stepped forward, still on the porch but closer to Elias. "I said no. Sheriff, anything you need to say can be said here, unless—" She let a note of confusion enter her voice. "Unless you have a warrant, some legal reason to question me privately." Hayes shifted in his saddle. "Now, ma'am, no need for warrants. We're just concerned citizens." Concerned citizens who rode 5 hours up a mountain in December. Anna pulled her shawl tighter. The picture of wounded propriety. How unusual. "You tell them, woman," Billy Crow spurred his horse forward. "Tell them how he's been treating you. We know you're scared, but we're here now." Mr. Crow." Anna's voice could have cut glass. "The only thing that scares me is the thought of returning to town, where men like you feel free to spread lies about a widow trying to work off her late husband's debts, honestly." "Lies." Billy's face reddened. "Everyone knows." "What everyone knows," Anna interrupted, "is that your father traded my labor to Mr. Hargrove to clear a debt. What everyone also knows, though they pretend not to, is why I had so many accidents during my marriage. Funny how those accidents stopped the day Samuel died." Silence. Even the wind seemed to pause. "Furthermore," Anna continued, pulling letters from her pocket, "I've written to Judge Morrison about my situation here, every week, like clockwork. If Mr. Hargrove was mistreating me, don't you think I'd mention it? Especially when the judge's wife is my second cousin." That was a lie, but delivered with such confidence that she saw doubt creep into the sheriff's face. "Ma'am," Hayes tried again, "if you just come with us." "In December, when there's weather coming," Anna gestured to the darkening sky. "You want me to risk freezing on that mountain road to satisfy Billy Crow's imagination?" She let tears enter her voice, another weapon. "Haven't I been through enough first, Samuel? Then being traded like livestock. And now this. When does a woman get peace?" The deputies exchanged glances. This wasn't going how they'd expected. Elias stepped forward slightly. "The widow's right about the weather. You best head back before it turns." "We're not leaving without her." Jed Crow spoke for the first time, hand moving to his gun. Ghost materialized from the trees, lips pulled back in a silent snarl. Behind him, shadows moved the pack, watching. "Careful, boy," Elias said softly. "Wouldn't want to do something you can't take back." Sheriff Hayes held up a hand. "Nobody's doing anything." He looked at Anna, something like respect in his eyes. "Ma'am, you're saying you're here of your own will, working off the debt legal-like." "I'm saying," Anna replied carefully, "that I'm safer on this mountain than I ever was in town. Make of that what you will." The sheriff studied her for a long moment, then nodded. "Boys, we're leaving." "What?" Billy Crow spurted. "You can't just—" "I said we're leaving." Hayes's voice brooked no argument. "Ma'am says she's fine. She looks fine. And I don't see any cause to doubt her. Not without more than your say-so. Billy." They left in a flurry of curses from the Crow brothers and stiff politeness from the sheriff. Anna stayed on the porch until they were out of sight. Then her knees gave out. Elias caught her before she hit the boards, pulling her against him. "You did good. You did so good." She was shaking now, adrenaline leaving her system. "They'll be back." "Maybe, but not today. Today, you won." He helped her inside, settled her by the fire. Ghost pressed against her legs, offering comfort. That bit about the judge's wife. Complete fiction. Anna managed a watery smile, but delivered with conviction. For the first time since she'd known him. Elias laughed, really laughed. The sound rusty but real. "Remind me never to play cards with you." "I don't play cards." Anna said, "I play to win." As if in agreement, the snow began heavy, thick flakes that would make the road impassable by nightfall. They were safe. For now. But Anna knew this was just the first battle. The war for their peace, their home, their chosen life together that was still to come. But as Elias pressed a cup of hot tea into her hands, as Ghost curled at their feet, as the snow built walls around their small kingdom, Anna felt ready for whatever came next. She'd found her voice, her strength, her place. Let them come. She was done running. The attack came 3 days later, in that gray hour before dawn when the world holds its breath. Anna woke to Ghost's low growl and Elias's hand on her shoulder. "They're here," he whispered. "Get dressed, quick!" She'd been sleeping in her clothes since the sheriff's visit, so it took only moments to pull on her boots and wrap her shawl tight. Outside, she could hear horses, the creak of saddles, low voices trying for stealth. How many, she breathed? 5, maybe 6, coming from 2 directions. Elias handed her the rifle. "Remember what I taught you?" Anna's hands were steady as she checked the load. Strange how fear could sharpen everything to crystal clarity. Through the window, she glimpsed shadows moving between the trees. No sheriff this time. This was meant to be quiet. Ugly work. The first shot shattered the window, sending glass across the floor. Anna dropped behind the overturned table Elias had positioned days ago, already sighting down the barrel. "Don't think, just breathe and squeeze," like he taught her. Her shot caught Billy Crow in the shoulder as he rushed the porch. He went down screaming, and suddenly the morning exploded into chaos. Gunfire from 3 directions. Ghost launching himself through the door like gray death. Elias moving with terrible purpose from window to window. "The roof!" Anna shouted. Seeing movement above, someone had climbed the back slope. Elias spun, firing upward through the ceiling. A body tumbled past the window, hit the ground with a sound that made Anna's stomach turn, but there was no time for queasiness. Jed Crow was at the door, kicking it open. Anna's knife took him in the thigh before he could clear the threshold. He stumbled back, cursing, and Ghost was on him, all teeth and fury. Through the melee, Anna heard more horses, shouts of alarm, reinforcements. Her heart sank. But the new riders wore badges, real ones, and the man leading them wasn't Sheriff Hayes. "Federal Marshal," the lead rider bellowed. "Everyone stand down, weapons on the ground, now!" The fighting stuttered to a halt. Billy writhed in the dirt, clutching his shoulder. Jed had managed to fight Ghost off, but was bleeding badly from leg and arm. 2 other men Anna didn't recognize were face down in the snow, hands behind their heads. "Marshal Fitzgerald," Elias said, lowering his gun slowly. "About time." The marshal swung down from his horse, a hard-faced man with steel-gray hair and eyes that missed nothing. "Got an interesting wire from Judge Morrison yesterday. Something about a widow in distress and illegal seizure of property." His gaze found Anna. "Mrs. Carter, I presume." "Yes, sir." Anna kept her rifle ready, not quite trusting the sudden turn. "Ma'am, you can put that down. These men are going to be too busy explaining themselves to cause more trouble." Fitzgerald surveyed the scene. "Looks like I arrived just in time to witness an attempted kidnapping. That about right. Hargrove." "Close enough," Elias agreed. "That's a lie," Billy gasped from the ground. "We came to rescue her." At dawn, with no legal authority, armed for war, the marshal's voice could have frozen flame. "Save it for the judge, boy!" It took hours to sort out. Statements given, weapons collected, the wounded tended enough for transport. Anna learned that her letters, the real ones she'd sent with Tom after the confrontation, had reached the judge, who'd immediately wired the federal authorities about potential corruption in Copper Creek's sheriff's department. Been meaning to look into Hayes anyway. Fitzgerald told them as his deputies loaded the Crow brothers onto horses. "This gave me the excuse." "What about Jeb?" Anna asked. "He ordered this." "Did he? Can you prove it?" These boys saying he sent them? The marshal shook his head at Anna's frustrated expression. I know, ma'am. But without proof. Best I can do is make sure these ones see justice. Sometimes that has to be enough. After they'd gone, taking their prisoners and leaving a promise to return for formal depositions, Anna and Elias stood in their ruined cabin. Glass littered the floor. Bullet holes decorated the walls. Blood stained the porch. But they were alive, together, and the threat was for now ended. We'll need to clean, Anna said unnecessarily. We'll need to eat first. Elias was already moving to the stove, checking if it had survived intact. Then we'll fix what needs fixing. They worked in companionable silence, sweeping glass, patching holes, scrubbing blood from wood. Ghost supervised from his corner, exhausted from his heroics. By evening, the cabin looked almost normal if you didn't examine the patches too closely. Anna was preparing dinner, a simple stew, but seasoned with relief when Elias spoke. You could have been killed today. So could you. That's different. She turned from the stove. Is it because I'm a woman? Because you think my life matters more? Because you matter to me. The words hung between them like a physical thing. Anna set down her spoon carefully. Elias, I know I'm no good at this. He stood abruptly, pacing to the window. Words and such, but when I saw Billy pointing that gun at you, I thought... He stopped, hands clenched. Can't lose someone else? Won't? Anna crossed to him, laid a hand on his arm. You didn't lose me. I'm right here. He turned, and she saw everything in his eyes: fear, hope, yearning, all the emotions he kept locked away. For how long? Your debt's nearly paid. Few more months and you're free to go. What if I don't want to go? The question seemed to break something in him. He pulled her close, buried his face in her hair. Don't say things you don't mean. I never do. Anna pulled back enough to see his face. I told you before I'm here by choice now. My choice. Unless you want me to go when the time comes. Want? He laughed, but it was pained. I want you to stay. Want to wake up knowing you're here, safe. Want to come home to your humming, your cooking, your stubborn arguments about everything. His hand cupped her cheek. Want things I got no right to want. Why no right? Because you deserve better than a broken-down mountain man with more scars than sense. Deserve someone who can give you a proper life, not just survival. Anna thought about proper lives, her marriage to Samuel, the respectability that hid bruises, the social standing that came with being owned. Then she thought about this cabin, this man, the wolf drowsing by their fire. The choice wasn't hard. I've had proper, she said. I'll take real instead. He kissed her then, careful at first, as if she might break or flee. When she pressed closer instead, his arms tightened around her, and the kiss became something else. Promise. Claim home. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Anna smiled. Just my cooking, HM. Woman. But he was smiling too. That rare, transformative expression that made him look years younger. Always got to have the last word. Someone has to keep you humble. They ate dinner close together, shoulders touching, while Ghost gnawed a bone and the fire crackled. Outside, snow began to fall again, erasing the day's violence under clean white. Tomorrow would bring challenges, statements to give, repairs to make, a future to plan. But tonight, they had warmth, food, and each other. As Anna cleared the dishes, she noticed Elias watching her with an odd expression. What? That smile, he said. When you were at the stove earlier, humming, you smiled at something, maybe just the steam rising, and I thought... He shook his head. Sounds foolish now. Tell me. He carved a curl of wood from the piece in his hands. Considering. Thought how I'd started out just wanting help around the place. Someone to cook, clean, make the days easier. Practical things. Another curl of wood fell. But that smile, that gave me something I didn't know I was hungry for. Something sweeter than any bread you could bake. Anna's throat tightened. Elias Hargrove, are you getting poetic on me? Maybe. He looked up, that half-smile playing at his lips. That a problem? No, she said softly. No problem at all. Later, as the fire burned low and Ghost snored, Elias pulled something from his pocket. Been meaning to give you this. It was a ring. Simple silver worn smooth with age. Anna recognized it. He'd worn it on a chain around his neck, though he'd tried to hide it. Was my mother's, he said gruffly. Not much to look at, but it's honest metal. Like us, I figure nothing fancy, but true all the way through. Anna held out her hand, watched him slide it onto her finger. It fit perfectly, as if it had been waiting. Is this... It's whatever you want it to be. Promise. If nothing else. That you got a place here, long as you want it. That I'll stand between you and anyone who tries to hurt you again. That... He cleared his throat. That you matter. To me. Anna looked at the ring. This simple circle that meant more than all Samuel's grand gestures ever had. I love you too, Elias. His breath caught. I didn't say... You did, just not with those words. She kissed him gently. I'm learning your language. Remember actions over words. Well, this, she held up her hand with the ring, this says plenty. They sat together as the fire died to embers, planning in quiet voices. Come spring, they'd add a room to the cabin. Maybe start a small herd. Sell to the mining camps. Build something that was theirs. Not his or hers, but theirs together. Could have a garden, Anna suggested. Vegetables, herbs, maybe some flowers just for pretty. Could have young ones. Elias added carefully. If you wanted, if we're blessed that way. Anna's hand found his. I'd like that, a real family this time. One built on choosing, not owing. Ghost stirred, padding over to rest his great head on Anna's knee. She stroked his ears, smiling when Elias's hand joined hers in the wolf's thick fur. This strange, wonderful family they were making, it wasn't what she'd dreamed as a girl. It was better, real, honest, theirs. Outside, the snow continued falling, blessing and barrier both. By morning, the road would be impassable, locking them into their mountain sanctuary. But Anna didn't feel trapped anymore. She felt free to choose, to stay, to love. She thought of that first night, standing in the mud with her trunk, watching the wagon disappear. How frightened she'd been. How alone. Now, warm and safe with Elias's arm around her and Ghost at their feet. That woman seemed like a stranger. Or maybe just someone she used to know, before the mountain and the man and the choice to stop running. No regrets, Elias asked, as if reading her thoughts. Anna turned the silver ring on her finger, smiled up at him. Not a one. And she meant it. Whatever came next, spring thaws or summer storms, good years or lean, she'd meet it here, with this man. In this place they defended with blood and courage and truth. The mountain just wanted her cooking, perhaps. But that widow's smile had given them both something infinitely sweeter, a love worth fighting for, a life worth living, a home worth keeping. It was enough, more than enough. It was everything. The news from town came with the spring thaw. Old Tom brought it, along with supplies and a grin wide as the valley. You won't believe it, he said, barely dismounting before launching into his tale. Jeb Crow's lost everything. The judge seized his assets for bribing Sheriff Hayes. Hayes himself is doing 3 years hard labor, and those boys of Jeb's Billies facing 5 years for attempted kidnapping. Jed got 3. Anna poured coffee while Elias unloaded the supplies. The cabin looked different now, curtains at the windows, herbs growing in pots, a new room half-framed against the south wall. Evidence of a life being built rather than just endured. What about Jeb himself? She asked. Tom's grin dimmed slightly. Slippery as ever. Claimed he knew nothing about his boys' plan. Threw them under the wagon to save his own hide, but he's ruined just the same. Had to sell off most of his land to pay the fines. Good riddance, Elias muttered. There's more, Tom continued, eyeing Anna carefully. Folks in town, they're talking different now. About you, Mrs. Pemberton's been telling anyone who'll listen how brave you were, standing up to Sam when he was alive, then facing down those Crow boys. Even got the pastor's wife speaking up about things folks should have noticed before. Anna felt something ease in her chest. Not forgiveness, exactly. She didn't need their forgiveness, but acknowledgement. Truth, finally spoken aloud. Don't suppose it matters much now, she said. I'm not going back. No. Tom looked between them, noting Elias's hand resting comfortable on Anna's shoulder, the silver ring on her finger. Well, I'll be, when's the wedding? Soon as the preacher can get up here, Elias said. Maybe next month, if the roads hold. Tom whooped, slapping his knee. About time I was starting to think you'd turned too wild for civilized customs. They spent the afternoon catching up on news, making plans. Tom had brought fabric Anna had ordered, seeds for the garden. A letter from Judge Morrison confirming all charges against the Crows had stuck. As the sun lowered, he prepared to leave. Almost forgot, he said, pulling a package from his saddlebag. This came for you. Anna, from Kansas. Anna's blood chilled. She had no connections in Kansas, unless... She opened the package carefully. Inside was a daguerreotype in a copper frame, a woman and small girl, both serious-faced as the long exposure demanded. The woman looked enough like Elias that Anna knew immediately who she was seeing. His wife, his daughter. The note was brief. Found this in what remains of the old place. Thought you should have it. Welcome to the family, E. Hargrove. His sister, Elias said roughly, reading over her shoulder. Ellen, I wrote her about you. Didn't think she'd... Anna pressed the photograph into his hands. They're beautiful. Marie, and little Sarah. She'd be 12 now. If... He stopped, traced the child's face with one finger. Thought all the pictures burned. Now you have this one, Anna said softly. We'll put it on the mantel. They should be remembered here. Elias pulled her close, pressing his face into her hair. Tom cleared his throat and made noises about checking his mule's hooves, giving them privacy. That night, Elias told her more about his life before, the small farm in Kansas, the dreams he'd had of prosperity, the morning he'd come home to ash and char. He spoke haltingly, Anna's hand in his, ghost pressed against their legs. I went wild after, he admitted. Tracked the men who did it for months. When I found them, he was quiet for a long moment. Let's just say justice got served, one way or another. But it didn't bring them back. Nothing could, so I came here. Figured I'd live out my days alone. Safer that way. And now I got something to lose again. His arms tightened around her. Scares me sometimes. How much? But you're not running, Anna observed. Neither are you. No, she agreed. Neither of us is running anymore. The next week brought unexpected visitors. Anna was working in the garden, their garden now, carved from the mountainside with Elias's strength and her determination when she heard horses. Not racing this time, but walking steady. She straightened, hand going automatically to the knife at her belt, then relaxed as she recognized the lead rider. Marshal Fitzgerald dismounted, touching his hat. Mrs. Carter Hargrove. Elias appeared from the tree line, rifle casual in his hands. Marshal, trouble. No trouble, just tying up loose ends. Fitzgerald accepted the water Anna offered. Wanted to let you know the investigation's complete. The crows won't be bothering anyone for a good long while. And Jeb, Anna asked, "Funny thing about Mr. Crow. Seems he decided California might be better for his health. Left last week, from what I hear." "Ran, you mean?" Elias said flatly. "Man's got a right to relocate," but Fitzgerald's smile was sharp. "Course, I sent word to the California marshals about his history, just in case he tries his old tricks in new territory." They spoke for a few minutes more, the marshal admiring the improvements to the property, the garden taking shape. As he prepared to leave, he turned back. "You did a brave thing, Mrs. Carter, speaking up, fighting back. Takes courage to stand against men like that." "Takes desperation," Anna corrected. "And good aim." Fitzgerald laughed. "That too. You folks take care now. Nice to see something good come from all that ugliness." After he left, Anna and Elias stood together, looking out over their land. The southern pasture was green with new grass, perfect for the small herd of cattle they planned to start. The expanded cabin would be finished by summer, room enough for the family they hoped to build. "Regrets?" Elias asked, as he often did. "Never," Anna replied, as she always did. But this time she added, "I was thinking, though, about names." "Names?" "For children. If we're blessed, I'd like—" She hesitated, then forged ahead. "I'd like to use Marie for a girl, or Sarah, if you wouldn't mind." Elias was still for so long she worried she'd overstepped. Then he turned her to face him, eyes bright with unshed tears. "You'd do that? They're part of your story, part of what made you who you are. I'd never try to erase them or replace them." She touched his face gently. "But maybe we could honor them while building something new." He kissed her hard, desperate, grateful. When they broke apart, he rested his forehead against hers. "How'd I get so lucky?" "Wasn't luck," Anna said. "Was choice, yours and mine both." The next morning brought another surprise. Anna was feeding the chickens they'd acquired 6 hens and a temperamental rooster when she spotted a familiar figure trudging up the path. Her heart sank. Mrs. Pemberton from town, accompanied by 2 other women she recognized as the pastor's wife and the schoolteacher. "Elias," she called quietly. He emerged from the barn, took in the situation with a glance. "I'll be close," he said, disappearing around the corner. But Anna knew he'd be within earshot, ready if needed. The women arrived breathless from the climb. Mrs. Pemberton, red-faced but determined. "Anna," she puffed, "we've come to apologize." Anna blinked. Of all the things she'd expected, this wasn't it. "We failed you," the pastor's wife continued. "All those years, we saw but didn't act, whispered but didn't help. That wasn't Christian, wasn't right. We've come to make amends," the schoolteacher added. "If you'll let us." Anna studied them, these women who'd watched her suffer, who'd known the truth but kept silent. Anger rose, then ebbed. What good would it do now? "You want to make amends," she said finally. "Then promise me something. Next time you see a woman in trouble, don't just whisper. Act, speak up, help." "We will." "Mrs. Pemberton said fervently. "We've already started, formed a ladies' aid society for women in difficult circumstances." "Good," Anna said. "Then we understand each other." They didn't stay long, the mountain air and awkwardness driving them back to town. But they left gifts preserves, fabric, a Bible with Anna's name inscribed in gold, peace offerings. Anna supposed she'd take them. "That was well done," Elias said, emerging from his hiding spot. "Was it I wanted to rage at them? Tell them exactly what their silence cost me." "But you didn't." "No, because that would have been about the past, and I'm trying to live in the present." That Sunday, they walked to the small cemetery on the hill not for grief this time, but for remembrance. Elias laid wildflowers on a stone marker Anna hadn't known existed. Marie and Sarah Hargrove, beloved always. "I come here sometimes," he admitted, "to tell them things. Think they'd have liked you." "I hope so." They stood quiet for a while, the spring breeze carrying the scent of pine and new growth. Ghost nosed among the graves, respectful as any mourner. "I've been thinking," Anna said eventually, "about that room we're adding. What if we made part of it a school space, not for town children, too far? But there are trappers' families scattered through these mountains. Their children need learning." Elias considered this. "You want to teach? I want to be useful. And maybe—" She hesitated. "Maybe it's a way to get ready. For our own children. Practice." "I like it," he decided. "We'll put in extra windows. Children need light for learning." They walked back hand in hand, planning. The preacher would come next week for their wedding, a simple ceremony with Tom and a few mountain families as witnesses. Nothing fancy, but real, true, theirs. That night, as they sat by the fire, Elias carving, Anna mending, ghost dreaming wolf dreams, she thought about how far they'd come. From that first night of suspicious silence to this comfortable partnership. From transaction to choice. From surviving to living. "What are you smiling about?" Elias asked, not looking up from his work. "Just thinking how the mountain wanted my cooking," she said. "But somehow, we both got more than we bargained for." Regrets, but he was smiling too. "Never," Anna said, and meant it. "Never in this world." The fire crackled. Ghost sighed in his sleep, and spring sang promises through the walls of their growing home. Tomorrow would bring its own challenges and blessings, but tonight they were together, chosen and choosing, building a life one day at a time. It was more than enough. It was everything. Summer bloomed across the mountain like a promise kept. Anna stood in her garden, hands deep in rich soil, watching the green beans climb their poles toward the sun. The expanded cabin threw shade across the neat rows of vegetables, potatoes, carrots, turnips for keeping, tomatoes and squash for eating fresh. It was more than she'd dared dream that first terrible night. "You'll wear out the dirt looking at it so hard," Elias called from the porch he'd finished just last week. "Just thinking," Anna replied, brushing soil from her hands. "This time last year, I was washing other people's clothes for pennies, trying to make Sam's whiskey money stretch to food. And now I'm wondering if we planted too much. What will we do with it all?" Elias crossed to her, pulled her against him despite her earthy hands. "Can it? Dry it, trade it. Tom says the mining camps are hungry for fresh goods. Could make decent money." Money. Such a strange concept now. They had what they needed: food, shelter, each other. The small herd of cattle grew steadily. The chickens produced more eggs than they could eat. And the wedding ring on Anna's finger iron, not gold, forged by Elias himself, meant more than any store-bought jewelry. The wedding had been simple as they'd planned. Pastor Williams made the climb on a clear June day, performed the ceremony on this very spot with the mountains as witness. Tom cried openly. 3 trapper families shared their best dishes for the feast, and Ghost watched it all with patient dignity. No white dress, no church bells, no society pages, just promises made and meant, sealed with a kiss that tasted of forever. "Company coming," Elias said now, tilting his head. He'd taught Anna to read the forest's signals, how the birds changed their songs when strangers approached, how Ghost's ears swiveled to track movement long before human eyes could see it. But it was only the Hendricks family, their nearest neighbors at 4 miles down. Martha Hendricks had 3 children trailing her like ducklings, the youngest barely walking. "Anna, Elias," Martha called cheerfully. "Hope we're not intruding." "Never," Anna assured her, already moving toward the cabin. "I'll put coffee on." This had become routine over the summer families stopping by, drawn by curiosity and Anna's growing reputation as someone who could help. She'd delivered Martha's youngest when the baby came too fast for the midwife, taught the Winston boys their letters when their father broke his leg and couldn't make the trip to town school, doctored everything from cuts to croup with herbs from her garden and knowledge gleaned from an old medicine book Elias had found her. "Actually," Martha said, hefting a basket, "we came to help. Heard you were putting up preserves today." Anna's throat tightened. Help, such a simple word, but it meant acceptance, community, belonging. I'd be grateful for the company. They worked through the afternoon. 5 women, now the Tanners had arrived, 2 turning berries and cucumbers and green beans into winter security. The children played outside under Elias's watchful eye, shrieking with delight when Ghost allowed them to pet his thick fur. "I've never seen a wolf act like that," Mrs. Tanner marveled, watching through the window. "He's particular about who he trusts," Anna said, "like someone else I know." The women laughed, the sound filling the cabin with warmth. They gossiped about small things: whose cow had twins, who was courting whom, whether the railroad would really come through the valley as rumored. Normal conversation. Anna treasured every word. As the sun lowered, the women gathered their children and jars of preserves payment for their help. At the door, Martha paused. "I'm glad you stayed," she said quietly. "Both of you. Mountains need more families like yours." After they left, Anna and Elias sat on the porch, watching shadows lengthen across their land. The garden sprawled green and abundant. The cattle grazed peacefully in the far pasture. Smoke rose from their chimney into the clear sky. "Happy?" Elias asked. "Content," Anna corrected. Happy's too small a word. He understood. Happy was momentary, a good meal, a sunny day. Content was deeper, a settling into rightness that went bone deep. "Been thinking about winter," he said. "Those kids today, the Hendricks don't have money for town school, and it's too far anyway. The Tanners neither." "The teaching space is almost ready," Anna offered. "I've got primers ordered, slates, chalk. We could start in October, after harvest. You'll teach too. Tracking, hunting, reading the woods, things that matter up here as much as letters." Elias considered this. "I never thought of myself as a teacher." "You taught me." Anna laced her fingers through his. How to shoot, trap, read the weather, how to be strong, how to choose courage over fear. "You taught yourself that." "Maybe, but you showed me it was possible." They sat quietly as stars emerged, Ghost joining them on the porch. The night sounds: rose owls calling, small creatures rustling, the distant howl of Ghost's wild kin. Once, those sounds had frightened Anna. Now they were home's lullaby. "I need to tell you something," Anna said eventually. Elias tensed slightly. "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong." She took his hand, placed it on her still flat belly. "Everything's right, but come spring, we'll need another room." The silence stretched so long, Anna worried. Then Elias dropped to his knees before her, pressing his face against her middle. "You're sure?" "As sure as a woman can be this early. But yes." He was crying. She realized. This strong, stoic man who'd faced down armed riders without flinching was crying over a promise no bigger than a seed. "Hey," she said softly, cradling his head. "These are good tears. I hope—" "The best," he said roughly. "Just never thought I'd have this again. A family, a future." "Well, you do, we do." She smiled through her own tears. "Think we're ready?" "No." He stood, pulled her up with him. "But we'll learn, like everything else together." The next morning brought challenges, as mornings do. One of the cattle had gotten tangled in wire. A fox had tested the chicken coop's defenses. The rain barrel had developed a leak, but they worked through each problem methodically. Anna holding boards while Elias hammered, Elias lifting while Anna guided. partnership in action. We need supplies, Elias noted after surveying their repairs. I'll go to town tomorrow. I'll come, Anna said. He hesitated. She hadn't been to town since that awful day almost a year ago. Hadn't wanted to face the stares, the whispers. You don't have to, he said carefully. I know, but I think it's time. Can't hide up here forever. This isn't hiding, this is living. Yes, but living includes facing the past when needed, and we need supplies. Town hadn't changed much. The same dust, the same storefronts, the same people going about their business. What had changed was Anna. She walked Main Street with her head high, Elias beside her. Ghost padding along despite the nervous looks he drew. In the general store, conversation stuttered to a halt. Anna ignored them, moving purposefully to the fabric section. She needed material for baby clothes, though she wouldn't say so yet. Mrs. Hargrove. The shopkeeper stumbled over the name. Good to see you. Mr. Henderson. Anna kept her tone neutral, businesslike. I need 10 yards of the cotton, 5 of flannel, and whatever seed you have left for fall planting. They conducted their business in professional silence, but Anna felt the weight of watching eyes. Let them look, let them see. She'd not only survived, but thrived. Let them see the wedding ring, the healthy color in her cheeks, the protective presence of the man beside her. Outside, loading their wagon, they were approached by an unexpected figure. Sheriff Hayes's replacement, a younger man with honest eyes. Mrs. Hargrove. Mr. Hargrove. I'm Sheriff Cooper. Wanted to introduce myself. Let you know my door's open if you ever need anything. Appreciate that, Elias said carefully. I've heard about what happened. With the crows, want you to know that won't happen while I wear this badge. The law's meant to protect folks, not persecute them. Anna found herself believing him. Thank you, Sheriff. That means something. As they drove home, wagon loaded with supplies and possibilities, Anna reflected on the journey. Not just the physical trip to town and back, but the larger journey from victim to survivor to something more. A woman with agency, choices, love. You did good, Elias said, reading her mood as always. We did good, she corrected. I couldn't have faced that alone. You could have. You're stronger than you know, but I'm glad you don't have to. That evening, as Anna sorted through their purchases, she found something unexpected in the fabric bundle, a small card with pressed flowers and careful writing. Congratulations on your marriage. May you find every happiness. The Ladies' Aid Society of Copper Creek. Look, she showed Elias. They knew we were coming. Prepared this. Seems you've got allies in unexpected places. Seems we do, Anna corrected, noting his inclusion. We're not alone anymore. Elias, neither of us. As if to prove her point, Tom arrived at dusk with fresh venison and news. Heard you braved town today, he said, accepting the coffee Anna offered. Also heard you handled it with grace. Sheriff Cooper's been asking about you two in a good way. Wants to know if you'd consider being unofficial deputies for this area. Keep an eye on things. Report troubles. Elias snorted. Deputies. Why not? You've already been doing it. Ran off those claim jumpers last month. Helped find the Winston's lost boy. Might as well make it official. They discussed it as stars emerged. The badge would mean recognition, legitimacy. It would also mean responsibility. Being drawn into others' troubles. But wasn't that already happening? I'll think on it, Elias finally said. After Tom left, they prepared for bed in comfortable routine. Anna brushed her hair longer now, softer without town dust. Elias banked the fire, checked the doors. Ghost circled 3 times before settling. And in the dark, they came together with the passion of lovers and the comfort of spouses, creating their own world within the circle of their arms. I love our life, Anna whispered against his chest. Even the hard parts. Especially those, they make the good parts sweeter. He chuckled, the sound rumbling through her. Getting philosophical on me. Maybe. Must be the mountain air. They lay quiet, listening to the night. Somewhere, a lone wolf called and was answered. The sound no longer meant loneliness to Anna. It meant family scattered but connected, voices carrying across distance, promises that morning would bring reunion. Boy or girl? Elias asked suddenly. What? The baby. What do you think? Anna considered. Girl, strong-willed and wild-hearted. God help us! He already has, Anna said, meaning it. He already has. Spring arrived with Sarah Marie Hargrove, born as the snow melted and the first wildflowers pushed through cold earth. She came into the world with her mother's determination and her father's quiet strength, announcing herself with a cry that sent Ghost howling in sympathy from the porch. She's perfect, Elias whispered, cradling his daughter with hands that had known violence, now gentle as morning mist. Look at her, Anna. She's perfect. Anna, exhausted but radiant, watched her husband hold their child. The circle was complete from ashes of loss to this new life, bright with promise. Martha Hendricks, who'd served as midwife, busied herself with cleanup, granting them privacy in their wonder. She has your eyes, Anna said softly. Your stubborn chin, Elias countered, touching the baby's face with one careful finger. God help us when she's older. The cabin had transformed over winter. The teaching space saw regular use, 8 children making the trek through snow for lessons. Anna taught letters and numbers while Elias showed them how to read animal tracks and weather signs. Payment came in eggs, preserved meat, firewood currency of community rather than coin. Now, with spring's arrival and Sarah's birth, their home buzzed with new activity. Women from 4 mountain families had already visited, bringing baby blankets and advice. Men helped Elias expand the garden, knowing Anna would have her hands full. Even Sheriff Cooper rode up, bringing an official deputy badge and congratulations. Never thought I'd pin one of these on, Elias admitted that evening, studying the star in the lamplight. It suits you, Anna said from where she nursed Sarah. Protector, guardian, it's who you've always been. Just for us before, now for others too. He looked thoughtful. That sits right. It does. We've been blessed. Right to share that blessing. Ghost patted in, approaching the baby with careful curiosity. Sarah's tiny hand found his fur, gripping with infant intensity. The wolf held perfectly still, accepting this newest member of his pack. Summer brought abundance. The garden overflowed. The cattle multiplied. And Sarah grew round and rosy. Anna often worked with the baby in a sling, tending vegetables while Sarah slept against her heart. The mountain women had taught her this, how to keep life moving while nurturing new life. On a particularly fine July morning, Anna was hanging the wash when she spotted riders approaching. Her hand didn't go to the rifle anymore. She'd learned to read the forest's moods, and today sang peace. Still, she called to Elias, working on the new smokehouse. The riders were unexpected, a well-dressed man and woman, city folks by their clothes. They dismounted awkwardly, clearly unaccustomed to mountain travel. We're looking for Mrs. Anna Hargrove, the woman said. She was perhaps 40, with intelligent eyes and ink-stained fingers. I'm Anna Hargrove. Wonderful. I'm Elizabeth Morrison from the Rocky Mountain Tribune. This is my photographer, Mr. Davies. We've heard about your school, your work with the mountain families. We'd like to write about it. Anna blinked. Write about it? Oh yes, a woman bringing education to the frontier, building community in isolation. It's exactly the kind of story our readers love. Progress and civilization blooming in the wilderness. Elias had joined them, Sarah on his hip. The baby studied the strangers with solemn eyes. We're just living our lives, he said carefully. Nothing special about that. But that's exactly what makes it special, Elizabeth insisted. Regular people building something extraordinary through simple daily choices. She looked between them. I heard about what happened with the Crow family too, how you stood up to corruption, brought justice to the mountains. That takes courage. Anna and Elias exchanged glances. The past felt distant now, but its lessons remained sharp. If we agree, Anna said slowly, you tell the truth. Not some dressed-up version that makes us heroes or the mountain paradise. The truth that life here is hard but good. That community means choosing to help each other. That sometimes standing up means standing together. I wouldn't have it any other way, Elizabeth promised. They spent 2 days with the journalist, showing her their life. She watched Anna teach letters to a trapper's son, saw Elias track with the older boys, observed the easy partnership of shared work. Mr. Davies captured it in photographs, Anna in the garden with Sarah, Elias mending harness, Ghost standing sentinel on the ridge. May I ask something personal? Elizabeth said their last evening, as they shared a simple meal. How did you find each other? How did you go from what I heard happened to this? Anna considered her words carefully. We chose each other. Not at first. We were just surviving, but somewhere between the first snow and the spring thaw, survival became living, and living became choosing. The mountain just wanted her cooking, Elias added with a rare smile. But turned out her smile gave me something sweeter than any bread. Elizabeth scribbled notes furiously. That's beautiful. May I quote you? If you must, Elias grumbled. But Anna saw his pleasure at having his words recorded. After the journalists left, life settled back to routine. But the article, when it appeared months later, brought unexpected consequences. Letters arrived from women in similar situations seeking advice, from churches wanting to support the mountain school, from a publisher interested in Anna's story. Never thought I'd be famous, Anna mused, reading the latest batch while Sarah played at her feet. You're not, Elias said. You're just yourself. That's what they're responding to, seeing someone be genuinely themselves. Winter came early that year, but they were ready. The root cellar bulged with preserves. The smokehouse hung heavy with meat, firewood stacked high as the cabin roof. Sarah took her first steps in November snow, stumbling from Anna to Elias with delighted squeals while Ghost watched protectively. She'll be wild as the mountains, Tom observed during one of his visits, watching Sarah chase chickens with determined toddler intensity. Good, Anna and Elias said together, then laughed at their synchronization. The school expanded. 2 families from the valley below had moved closer, drawn by the promise of education and community. Elias built additional benches while Anna ordered more books with money from her published essays. She wrote about practical things, preserving food, teaching reading, building trust with suspicious mountain folk. Nothing fancy, but true. Spring came again. As springs do, Anna stood in her garden larger now, feeding multiple families, watching Elias teach Sarah to plant seeds. The child listened with the same intensity she brought to everything. Small hands careful in the dirt. Like this, Papa? Sarah asked, her voice clear as creek water. Just like that, little one. Gentle but firm. Seeds are like people, they need the right environment to grow. Anna smiled at the unintentional poetry of it. Her rough mountain man had become philosopher and father, teacher and protector. The badge he wore to town meant something, as did the respect in people's eyes when they greeted him. But it was this teaching his daughter to nurture life that showed who he'd become. Mama, look! Sarah ran to her, dirty hands extended, a seed clutched like treasure. I plant for you. Thank you, sweetling. Let's plant it together. They knelt in the rich earth. 3 generations of hands working together, Elias's scarred and strong, Anna's capable and sure, Sarah's small and full of promise. Ghost supervised from the shade, and overhead, An eagle circled against the endless sky. That evening, as they sat on the porch expanded now, with rocking chairs Tom had made and a small table for evening tea, Anna reflected on their journey. From that terrifying wagon ride to this moment of absolute peace. From transaction to transformation. From two broken people to a whole family. "What are you thinking?" Elias asked, reaching for her hand. "About circles," Anna said. "How life moves in circles. Lost to love, winter to spring, seed to harvest." She squeezed his fingers. "About how sometimes the worst moments lead to the best outcomes." "Philosophy again," he teased, but his eyes were soft. "Must be the mountain air." "Must be," she agreed, watching Sarah play with wooden animals Elias had carved. "Or maybe it's just seeing clearly, seeing what matters." "And what matters?" Anna gestured to encompass it all: cabin, garden, child, man, wolf, mountain, sky. This, us, the life we built one day at a time, the community we're part of, the future we're creating. She met his eyes. The choice to stay, to try, to trust, to turn transaction into love. No regrets, the old question, but asked now with smiling certainty. "Not one," Anna said, as she always did. "Not a single one," as stars emerged above the peaks. Sarah climbed into Elias's lap, yawning. Ghost stretched and padded over, lying across their feet, inside. The fire crackled welcoming, and soup simmered on the stove. Tomorrow would bring its own challenges: weather, wildlife, the needs of community. But tonight, they were together, chosen family in their chosen home. The mountain had wanted her cooking, perhaps, but what they'd all received was infinitely richer: a love that transformed, a life that mattered, a future bright with hope. And in the end, that was the sweetest gift of all. Anna looked up at the first stars, whispered a prayer of gratitude, then followed her family inside. Home, the most beautiful word in any language, made real through courage, choice, and the daily decision to build rather than break. Behind them, Ghost paused at the threshold, looked back at the darkening forest, then followed his people inside. Even wild things knew when they'd found where they belonged. The door closed softly on their small, perfect world. Lamplight spilling golden through the windows like a beacon or a promise in the mountain night. Thank you all for listening to this story. I'd love to hear where you're enjoying this tale. Please comment below and share where in the world you're listening from so we can connect and share our thoughts together. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to Wild West Night, like this video, and hit that hype button to help more people discover this story. Your support means the world to me.